Hi, I'm Dr. Michael Fagelubi with this OmniED Brief. We're going to talk about building student engagement today, and in this video we'll talk about targeting student motivation, not our own. That's actually going to be the crux of what we focus on, how to change the question. Have you ever been working with a student and thinking they just don't seem to be motivated? Doesn't matter whether you're a caregiver or an educator. We've all had those moments of frustration. We want to change the question about how we motivate students. Let's take a look. Usually we ask the question like this: what is it that engages me about a given topic? What is it about when I was a kid that engaged me about learning about science or math or reading stories? The problem is there's fundamentally an error in the question. You're like this poor guy in the blue hat here sitting on top of dynamite. When we ask the question, what engages myself, I'm really setting myself up for failure because I already won the game of school. I'm not somebody who was suffering from low motivation while I was in school. Instead, I want to change the question and turn it into not what motivates me as an educator, but what might motivate my students. We all know how important it is to be in relationship with the child, whether we're the caregiver or the educator. But why be in relationship? Sure, create a trusting environment where it's safe to learn and take risks. But also because that broad background knowledge we get when we're in relationship with a student tell us a lot about what motivates that kid. And then we can bring that into the learning experience. Let me show you a couple of examples. In this particular research study, there were 6 categories of what motivated children to read. Now, for a lot of you watching this video, you're thinking, reading, if I could just get the kid to read. I loved reading as a kid. I would get in trouble walking upstairs and downstairs reading a book. You would, but that's not this kid's problem. This particular kid is struggling with not wanting to read in the first place. So what are 6 things that I might focus on when I think about what I can do to engage a reader? First, let's recognize when students were asked about why they read narrative text, the number one answer they gave was personal interests. So let's find out what those personal interests are. There's more new literature published today than existed in all of Shakespeare's time. So let's find some of it that might fill that particularly narrow niche of 2 kids who love to be in their treehouse, but they wish their treehouse would travel. Sound like a book you know? Sounds like one I know. How about why readers select expository text? And we know that after 4th grade, that's what most reading is. It's expository or nonfiction text. It doesn't have a story to it. Well, it turns out that even when you ask adolescents, they will tell you they read expository text to gain knowledge. That blows you away, right? It's true, though, that gaining knowledge is something they want. The question is, in what area? Think about how interests can drive learning strategies, and interest can drive improving topic knowledge. What else? Why do readers select reading material in general? This one's hard for us, but actually, bookstores, Amazon, those folks know the answer to this question. It's the characteristics of the books. How thick is the book? How cool is the cover? Was there a movie made so now the old version of the movie, of the book has a new cover and it's been updated and now a major motion picture? I hate these things as much as you do, but the reality is when we pull out our old copy of the book that we loved that's weathered and bent and maybe has our marginalia in it, and our kid looks at it, they may be thinking to themselves, well, it's an old book. That's an old time. That's not for me. So let's consider what the characteristics of the books are that we can approach students. Doesn't mean we have to buy every new copy for our kids, but it does remind us the library provides new copies. It does remind us that there's lots of things about books that are different entrance points. Okay, what else? Let's recognize the actions of others. Sure, it's true it'd be wonderful if we had people buying or giving books to kids or going through the process of reading to children when you select a book. But don't forget how important you can be when you share a book with a child. Again, whether you're the educator or the caregiver, you're a role model in that kid's life. How important that we share books with kids. Set that expectation. One final one I want to point out, and I've seen this play out in my own classroom, is the recommendations of peers. When children refer books to others, even when those books sometimes are way above grade level, way above that ability that the kid seems to have in your class to read, they'll move heaven and earth to get through every single page. I watch my daughter doing it right now. She's finding books that her cousins recommend to her, and even though they're a stretch for her, she really, really wants to understand them so she can talk to them about it. She wants to be a big kid too. So don't underestimate the power of peer referral and how it can help them develop their literacy skills. These are just a couple of different ways you can think about increasing motivation, increasing engagement, and we use this specific area of reading. Hope that was helpful for you. This has been an OmniED Brief, targeting student motivation by changing the question from not what motivates us as teachers or as caregivers, but what motivates our children. I hope you've enjoyed this short video. Visit us on omnied.org.